Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. I'm hosting today because PD decided to hand over the reins, I guess figuring that I am such an amazing godlike being at handling this show. He's left things in my somewhat capable hands. We are going to have a couple of guests popping in tonight, or at least one that I'm aware of. You know, the myth, the legend, Kamran Pasha is set to come by, right? Before we get too deep in, Poe Zapatos, my brother, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Stephanie Genesex stopped by to say hi as well. Stephanie, it is
Welcome,
always
Stephanie.
wonderful to see you. Glad to have you by. Yeah. We're gonna actually be covering some interesting Star Wars news that's come up in the last week or so. So I'm hoping you'll hang in for that. In the meantime, why don't we start it out with some of the basics, huh?
All right. Yeah, let's cook this gas fire.
Hoorah! All right, setting it up. Here we go. Okay, so let's start out with one of the larger shows. Here we go. Cameron's on. Let's pull that down for a second. Cameron, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I apologize. I actually thought I was going to be in my car by now, but I'm not. So I am running because I have a photography class right after I break my Ramadan fast. PD York is joining us, so I'm going to be running a little crazy. So forgive me. I only have about half an hour, if that is okay.
Okay, well then why don't we actually focus on the Star Wars news first then?
Let's do that.
So that we can have you there, our expert, our genius at it. And before we do too much else, Kamran, blessed Ramadan. How you doing with that today?
Thank you very much. I'm doing okay. I mean, this is now the 11th day of Ramadan, and I've been able amazingly to fast the first 10 days. And for health reasons, I've been able to complete the fast for several years now. I'm actually hoping to get through all 30 this year. So let's see if we can do it.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you, sir. You're a more hardy man than I, shall we say, at that point.
Well, we all have our fasting and restraint things in all of our traditions. It all works.
That's it. So let's actually start with the parks news. So I'm gonna jump this up to the front here. So Mandalorian and Grogu's 2026 Disney ride unveiled. First look at the wild concept art. Now,
yeah,
this looks like a modification to Smuggler's Run. Is that what you've been told? Or
yeah, I mean that's what I'm hearing. That's what's being reported, right? It's not like a scoop on my part. This is what people are reporting and saying, that there's that what we're seeing is a modification to actually bring in some of the OG Star Wars stuff, right? We actually pull away some of the the things that we have from the First Order and other stuff that currently exists in the ride. My understanding is that as people who have parsed through these images that are released in this concept art, there seems to be elements from the Mandalorian universe, Grogu universe, and even some droids related and things related to Cal Kestis. So it seems like what I've been saying on my Patreon for some time, that we've got Jon Favreau. I actually reported almost 9 months ago that Jon Favreau has been arguing with the accountants at Disney to try to upgrade or update these rides and remove all this Disney sequel stuff that he doesn't want to do and put in traditional OG Star Wars stuff. We've had an announcement that Luke Skywalker is going to be coming to the park in this year, and then now next year in coordination with his Mando and Grogu movie, it appears they're adjusting the Smuggler's Run ride to adjust to Mandalorian stuff. So it looks like he's won his argument or his debate with the accountants, because initially they didn't want to give him the money to do it, but looks like they are.
Now let me see if I've got this right here, because it sounds like Disney's actually starting to put the sequel trilogy into the closet, if you will, if they're willing to go Mandalorian and Grogu heavy, and they're willing to go original trilogy kind of heavy, and leaving leaving Ray here out in the cold, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's look. At the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding, right? If they're putting the money, because it is expensive to revamp these rides, it's a lot of money, and if they're putting this in, some people say, well, it's just going to be temporary. Well, you don't put that kind of money in for temporary adjustments, because then you have to take them down and put back the old stuff. That's more money, right? So unless that other thing that you want to take down and put back up is bringing you money, why once you adjust the ride, this is where it's going, right? This is where the ride is going forward. So it looks like they're just going to phase out this first order Disney sequel stuff, because people don't really care about it and they're not really enjoying this ride with those elements in it. So when you put the money in to put Mandalorian elements, maybe even Cal Kestis elements, and I've been reporting on my Patreon that Cal Kestis is coming, right? That's the plan, that Favreau has that planned. Then this is the only way the bean counters are going to approve this is if it's a long-term change, because then there's a chance to make back a return.
Right. And I mean, I was about to say, it's interesting you mentioned Cal Kestis. I think the regulars on the channel here are big fans of the Jedi Fallen Order series. And that kind of parkour Jedi video game that they've got going with it has been very wildly popular. Would you say that them embracing that popularity is a return to listening to the fans about what they actually want to see in Star Wars?
Well, I think they at least certain people inside the company have been listening to fans for a long time. We've had that for a few years. I mean, Jon Favreau has been trying to listen to fans since he started The Mandalorian. I mean, this is now several years into this, 4 years or so of this, and he's been fighting internal political battles, but he's trying to listen to the fans. They've already listened to the fans. They brought back Luke Skywalker, right? The live action, right? And they're listening to the fans. It feels like the fans are often unappreciative of it, but they just keep plugging away. And now this is the next. It feels like the fans are off. PD, I lost I can't hear you.
Yeah, have you got me there? Hello?
They're both muted. Both of our friends are muted.
Yeah, John can.
Oh no, I dropped out there for a sec because I think one of the funny things about the fans are quiet, it's really hard to be like, yeah, you guys did exactly what anybody would have expected when you buy a $2 billion IP and then you don't use that IP in your theme park. That's not using any of Disneyland in Disneyland.
I mean, it was stupid. It was stupid. I agree.
Adventureland, Disneyland.
I mean, I don't think there's any denying it was a stupid, non-strategic thing, but it came out of Miss Kennedy's belief that her new Star Wars was what the world wanted, and the world didn't want it.
Yeah, check out some of those visuals, eh? That's some beautiful artwork too.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can see we've got the Millennium Falcon there, and then you've got the Mando ship right over there, right? So, and, if we take a look at some of the other ones here, that's just a beautiful concept art there, right?
Yeah.
It looks like the destroyed Death Star would be my guess. And
can we zoom in that a little? Can we zoom in a little closer on that?
On this guy?
Yeah. Oh, you said because the destroyed Death Star.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I guess.
So you see over here, it looks like the dish.
Yeah, you're right. That would be like. I mean, that seemed like a pretty big explosion. Was there any remnants of it at all?
Right.
I mean, it's like a nuclear explosion. I don't know what remnants are left of that.
Right. I mean, admittedly, flying through components of a destroyed, small moon is kind of a cool idea.
It is. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, but again, in the fake sequels,
I don't know. I don't know how nuclear would be in space. How fast of it got away from the initial blast, right? Because once it explodes in space, there's nothing slowing it down. So even though it's technically within that heat room, the vacuum's so hot that it's not exactly melting anything else.
Fair enough.
Which makes it a fun ride. A fun story that would have been really cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. It is fun, and I think people will enjoy it. I certainly, if I have the money to go down there, I would love to go down there and be on that ride.
Yeah. So there was another kind of interesting one that you've touched on recently too. is that Jon Favreau is working on an Oswald the Lucky Rabbit TV series.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit is a very early Disney property, right? It was, I believe, it predated Mickey Mouse. It was their sort of big children's character that first really put Disney on the map as making animated things for children. And then I don't know the legalities of how they lost the rights to it, but I believe another studio, I think Universal, but another studio got the rights to it. And so out of frustration, this is back in the days of Walt Disney, right? You know, that they then said, we need to create another character that children are going to like, because this was a really popular, the Lucky Rabbit. Kids loved it. And then they created Mickey Mouse, which obviously has, you know, changed history. But, you know, I understand that Oswald, the other studio, has lost the copyright to it because it's now in the public domain. And so as a result, Disney wants to reclaim Oswald. And who do they put in charge of bringing the flagship that essentially launched the Disney studio? Walt Disney himself is this Lucky Rabbit. And who do they put in charge of that? That's Jon Favreau. And that's an incredible honor. That's like getting valedictorian at your college, right? I mean, you're getting the big honor there. You're representing the entire legacy of Walt Disney in this. They could have given it to lots of people. They gave it to him. And, you know, as I recall, less than a year ago, 10 months ago, everyone was saying this guy quit Disney.
Right. Well, if he quit Disney, what is he doing with the keys to the kingdom, right?
I mean, whatever, you know, there's a whole parallel other reality that some of our colleagues in YouTube live in. So whatever.
Right. But I did think it was interesting that they've kind of trusted John with this. I mean, he is kind of known for, you know, bringing franchises back from the brink of death here, right?
Yeah, and you know, but he's also, I mean, he said publicly he's very knowledgeable about the history. I think there were some videos out there recently talking about Imagineering and all that, and it was very clear that Favreau knows the history of Imagineering. He knows, and he was very, very passionate talking about the history of you know, how they say, we got a new friend here, we got a new friend watching it. Yeah, and so, you know, this is somebody who cares deeply about the legacy of Walt Disney and what the company has done in making interesting, new, innovative, creative things. So, you know, it feels like very much of a knighting moment where Iger's knighting him publicly as really the torchbearer of Disney at this point, not just Lucasfilm, but of Disney itself.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what you do with a property like this that really is kind of a product of its time, you know, but it could be very interesting. Like, I don't know if making, you know, like a family friendly kids show is kind of in John's direct wheelhouse, but
well, he just did that though. He just did that. He just did the Skeleton Crew.
That's true. You're right.
So I'm gonna be honest, like this to me feels like his I forget what the character is in Fallout, the video game series, but like this is his like thumbs up cartoon character.
Yeah, Fallout.
Like they're like Cameron said, they're giving him the keys to the original castle.
Yeah. And
I mean, as far as the guy who actually takes things seriously, like this is the guy. His money is where his mouth is, and his mouth has been making checks for Disney, just cash money. And then as soon as they sidelined him for, I don't know, internal C-suite bureaucratic reasons, they lost money hand over fist for, I don't know, 5 years now.
Yeah.
Well, again, I just don't know how sidelined he's been. He's been active. I think he's been fighting a difficult political war that every time he takes one step forward, he's got to take a half a step back, right?
And that's what I mean, sidelined. Like
he's not sidelined. Sidelined to me means he's out of the picture, but he's not. He's active. He's fighting.
I say more sidelined in terms of like, wasn't he the one that originally pitched the Infinity War timeline?
Oh, you mean sideline as in from other projects within Disney, like
yeah, like by them giving him Oswald, what we're really seeing is they're going, our bad. We actually should have only invested in you, and then let Kathleen keep her conversation. Like obviously they all wanted Kathleen at the wine table. She must have been very fun at dinner parties because that's why they kept her around.
Or more importantly, she
like,
kept
John
photos
Favreau's the
of what
money.
happened at the dinner parties. She kept video
Right.
of what happened at dinner parties, whether she was fun or not. She made sure that other people's fun was well recorded.
Yeah,
Right, and
she
that's
knows
like-
exactly where the bodies are buried and has proof to back it up. Yeah.
And to me, it's like, keep that at dinner and pay John while she pretends to be in charge. And that's what I think like Iger and the rest of Disney really did wrong, was like they actually let the politics of the outside infect their production cycle.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. There's another piece that you posted about that I was very interested in personally. Mara Jade's lightsaber is apparently showing up at Disney stores now.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're seeing. It's again, this isn't any scoop. This is just what we are saying that's publicly available information that this is a special edition lightsaber, and to me, that why even bother with a character that hasn't been introduced, a character that technically doesn't exist, right? The EU is now fan fiction, right? So she's EU. She hasn't, to my knowledge, she has not been introduced in any of the official Kennedy books. I mean, if I'm wrong, please someone correct me. But I don't think she has. I think Mara Jade.
I'm aware of.
Yeah, so she is a non-canon character. So why are they creating a lightsaber for her? And and people are buying it. I'm sure it's very expensive, right? It's because you're doing that because you're putting the character in the consciousness of the public again, which suggests it's coming.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is, she exists in that timeline of when the sequel trilogy was set. So if they're introducing her, or at least trying to get fan familiarity back with the character, does that seem to imply that they're trying to shy away from the sequel trilogy now? Yeah,
because there's no Mara Jade implied anywhere in the sequel trilogy, right? There's no indication of her. So again, this is what I've been saying on my Patreon for a couple of years now, that they're just moving into another timeline. When or how they announce that the old timeline doesn't exist, maybe they don't ever have to. Maybe they just keep going on with a new story and until everyone dies out. It's like what they say about science and about orthodoxies in scientific establishment, is that once you have a new research and new information and a new paradigm shift in scientific purview of things, right, of the moment, the old school of scientists just refuse to accept it because they're so stuck in their paradigm of how things work, so that, and you can't convince them. They'll never accept the new interpretation of the data. They just won't. It's an ego thing. So all you do is they just die out. Eventually, the geocentric believers, they never adopted a heliocentric worldview. They just died out. The Copernican worldview won out because the other guys simply stuck to their guns until people stopped listening to them and they disappeared, right? And so that's what I'm saying with regard to Star Wars, is that I don't know. People keep saying, when are they going to announce the decanonization? They may not. And they may just keep moving forward with another timeline so that a generation goes by and there's nothing moving towards the sequel trilogy canon of events. A whole other storyline develops and you just forget about it. You just forget that it happened because a whole generation doesn't even remember it. And you keep moving forward.
Well, Jonathan G94 just came on to say, our Dachshund went permanently missing this past weekend. Needs some cheering up. Well, my friend, you've come to the right place. We're talking about what's going on in the world, and we've got some pretty decent news, actually.
Yeah, but I'm very sorry about your dog. I do hope.
Yeah.
When you say permanent, I don't know if you just know for a fact that the dog's not coming back, but I hope for you that is not true. I hope that your dachshund comes back safely.
Exactly. I mean, those dogs they're pretty smart. The pretty smart breed. So if anyone's going to find their way home, it'll be them.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess the only other one I've really got here,
and then I got to head out. So yeah.
Yeah, this will be the last one. Disney won't be having a Snow White UK premiere in an attempt to avoid an anti-woke backlash to the controversial adaptation. So you had mentioned that they decided to kill off the UK premiere because they were worried that, like, help me understand this. They're worried that
they're worried about UK
wouldn't show up for the premiere at all.
No, that's not the issue. The issue is they're worried about the UK press. The UK press is very different than the American press, for better or worse, or better and worse. The American press, certainly in the last decade or so, has become perhaps it always has been, but it's certainly become very openly subservient to power, right? And so, it's certainly when it comes to Hollywood, you can argue about whether, Trump and all that, whether they, what angles it takes. But when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to the Hollywood power structure, the press generally, like the trades, are essentially mouthpieces for the industry, and you just don't have a lot of people questioning in the industry or in the media industry what's happening in Hollywood. Whereas the exact opposite is the case in the UK, where who's complaining about this? It's the Daily Mail, and the Daily Mail is one of the tabloids that likes to agitate people, right?
Right.
And so
they kind of like to stir up controversy to get more readers.
that's something. The Sun, all of them, there's nothing new. I mean, I studied in Britain almost 30 years ago, and that was what it was. They still had the page 3 girls of the Sun. I don't think they have that anymore, right? But in those days,
they still have them here on the on the end of the newspaper.
Well, but Viva Canada, I guess. But the UK, I guess it was considered inappropriate at a certain point, whatever. But that's what the tabloids, UK tabloid culture is very intense and frankly very ugly, and they thrive, as you said, on fomenting controversy. So Disney's entire thing has been trying to make controversy around this project go away. And in my opinion, they've been decently successful with the general public, if not with the fandom. The fandom is still angry about things that this very young woman, somewhat immature actress, Ms. Ziegler, said over time. She's 20 years old, whatever. She's young. We all said a lot of stuff in our 20s. Nowadays you do stuff in America, you protest and you get deported for protesting in your 20s. So, it's like, we are where we are, right? And so, it's the Daily Mail and others are upset because they're not going to be able to create the woke controversy because Disney doesn't want it. Disney wants people to go watch this movie and put the past behind around all the drama around it. And they're doing, in my opinion, a very effective job at showing how the current iteration of this movie, which has apparently been substantially reshot, matches up or lines up with the original animated film, which again shows no creativity. It's just a sigh of relief. If that's all we get is a movie that essentially is just a live action version of that film, I think people will sigh in relief that it's not some kind of twisted misrepresentation of that myth, right, for modern political sensitivities. And so, but that controversy, the UK tabloids want to stoke it to get sales, right? To get purchasers, clicks on their website and purchases of their newspapers. So why hold it in the UK when you realize that it is a very intense place where people are looking to create drama on a project that you've already had too much drama on? So it makes sense that they're doing exactly this. And of course the UK tabloids are upset about that because they're not getting access and not getting the drama they wanted. That's the way it is.
Yeah. So I mean, do you think this is going to have any effect on the North American box office release at all? Like, is this going to be, or is this just kind of more of a nothing sandwich for over here, but over there it's
nobody in America knows or cares what's happening in the UK. They don't know, right? America first, MAGA, right? America or maybe some other country first, but that's another conversation. But we don't care about UK. We don't care about the UK last, right? We haven't cared since the War of 1812. Despite the UK's best efforts to convince us otherwise, Americans don't really care, right? They only care about James Bond. They care about James Bond. That's about all they care about.
All right.
Right. But it's not going to affect that. And what we'll see is how effective this new marketing effort is going to be on American moviegoers. And I think it will be, again, just talking to normies like my sisters who have children. They're not aware of any of this stuff. If you tell them about it, they kind of roll their eyes like, what? So she's a young kid, said some stupid things. What? My nephews want to go see it. My kids want, their kids want to go see it. So it looks like it's working, at least with the normies that I know. Their family members, they're going to go see this. So I think it's going to do fine.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it does in the box office when it releases, and we'll have to track it and see how it's doing. I mean, typically the live action movies have not been doing as well as their animated counterparts. And I mean, if you adjust for 1937's kind of popularity of this film, it's got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, but they're never going to report it in those numbers, right? I mean, Gone with the Wind is still like the most profitable movie of all time, right? And so, but they never talk about it in those terms, right? But so what is about those? You were going to say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, as a father, and somebody who grew up watching Snow White, yeah, I'm not taking my kid to this. Like, mostly in terms of like which movie am I gonna take a small loan out to go watch? No.
But again, you were aware of this controversy, like my
Not
sister.
even really just aware of the controversy. I'm just aware of Disney flops with their live action. Like that, I don't trust Disney to focus on what actually matters, which is making the live action feel like fantasy brought to life.
Mhm.
And instead, they feel like bringing life to fantasy, and it looks like a cardboard cutout of both. And that's to me, it's like, I don't know. It just falls back to that whole idea of what are you spending your money on, and it turns out mostly talk. Mostly spending your money on chatter and marketing statistics and Keynesian economics and all this stuff from different people that don't do anything to enhance the actual product. And it's like, that's basic QA, guys.
Yeah.
Like, check your product quality before you start trying to change major portions. Like, Snow White isn't about a young white girl from the north anymore. It's a different story. Okay, but you guys didn't even get Mufasa right. How can we trust you with changing the entire story of Snow White?
It's fair enough.
Mufasa wasn't even a real story. It was just a regular lion who was a parent who died early in the first movie. And you couldn't write anything in between there?
All right, well, Kamran, I know you've got to go, to break your fast.
Yep.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming out tonight. You are always welcome here, sir, and we look forward to seeing you again at your earliest convenience.
Well, thank you, and forgive me for being so rushed. Like my whole schedule, I thought I would be in my car when I'd be doing this. My schedule's a little crazy, but I'm sorry I couldn't stay long. But hopefully, Ramadan ends in about 3 weeks, and then hopefully we'll have more time.
Yeah, absolutely, and please pass
I'm in my car doing this.
Good to see you, PD.
You too, bro. Sorry we didn't chat tonight, but until next time.
It's all good. All right, God bless everyone. I got to go. Everyone,
our love to your family. Take care. Enjoy.
Click like, and we'll see you all soon. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, there we go. That was
time. We will shout out his Patreon.
Yes,
and we will definitely say go like and subscribe, because obviously we just got a bunch of good inside information from a little visit. Imagine what you can get from the inside source.
Yeah, on top of that too, I've availed myself of Kamran's assistance, editing, writing projects. The dude is incredible. He literally thinks of everything you haven't thought of yet and puts it all together in a way that makes sense. Guy's an absolute rock star and a genius when it comes to writing. His Patreon is absolutely worth it. All right, so let's move it on. So, Hunter Hearst Helmsley is officially confirmed for the role of Kratos in a live-action God of War movie. Fans are extremely excited about the similarity in appearance between Triple H and Kratos. Right? I mean, there's definitely a angry bald dude with a beard kind of similarity there. I'm not gonna lie. Now that being said, the last time we saw Triple H do any sort of acting project that I can remember was Blade Trinity, and that, in his escapades there, ended that series. So, hopefully in the 20 years intervening, he's taken some acting lessons. But guys, what do you think? We're getting a live action God of War.
Dude, you remember that one, like Billy Killed the World or something like that, where H. John Benjamin does the voice?
Right.
And it's a different character talking the whole time. Like, I don't remember Kratos saying much more than, I will kill you.
Right.
So, like, and I haven't played the newer God of War games because PS4 exclusivity has exclusively kept me out. But, like, so I don't know if his, voice got more or less. But at the same time, like if they had somebody else doing the narrating and talking over him and talking to him, like he does play Kratos just in appearance.
Right.
Like he looks like a brick shit house.
Yeah, I mean he's got the physicality for it, certainly. The question becomes, does he have the acting chops? You said it very well that, Kratos doesn't really say much throughout the games. But that almost makes it worse, right? Because that is a way that is fairly easy to emote as a character, and he doesn't have that option. So is he going to be able to make us feel the rage of this character being a man of few words? Or are they going to have to make him talk more and kind of open up the character to a lot more controversy by doing so if they do? Like, I don't know about you, but when I go into the theater, I want to watch him like screw up a Medusa. I don't want to hear yap, 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 right?
No, I definitely, and I don't like he has to be more of the Reacher style tough man. Like
Right.
Reacher in the books explains every single thing that he's doing down to the detail, but it's all in his head and you're reading his mind. But like in the show, it's weird how much you can see that while also never hearing anything that you read. And
Right.
I think that like if Triple H channels Reacher, then he can do a lot of like you're asking for emotion. It's like, dude, be a human with God powers actually winning the fight against gods. Like all we're asking you to do is what you were doing on WWE.
Yep.
Again, like because like it's all imaginary. So all we're saying is like just get into it all the way. And as long as he's not the guy from Grown Ups, hey, what's up, ladies? I'm from Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Like as long as that's not his voice, he's doing the job. Because like the scenes themselves tell Kratos' story. The moves that Kratos goes through tell Kratos' story. The gods attacking Kratos tell Kratos' story.
Yeah.
All Kratos does is go, and that's all this guy used to do. So, like, all we're asking is, yes.
Yeah. All we're asking for him is to do what he was doing in wrestling, but be able to show the pain he's feeling as he's doing it. So,
well,
yeah.
Like, no, that's the crazy part is Kratos didn't feel pain. Like, if anything, he was more like the Hulk throughout the game. He just got more angry and more brutal. And that's what, like, I'm saying is like the gods will tell Kratos to stop as they're sending stuff to slow him down. The gods deliver the monologue. Don't have Triple H try to drop some Shakespearean soliloquy on me. No.
Yeah, no. So you're basically thinking the design of the movie. Okay. So you're thinking like the design of the movie should be basically from the god's perspective, explaining what he's doing as they're approaching, and just have him be this unstoppable juggernaut heading towards them.
Dude, honestly, you could do like what's the dude who did The Gentleman? Like where you have like the scenes where it's like they're talking and explaining what's going on. So the gods are like, so anyway, Ares started a fight and we pissed this guy off and I'm getting really annoyed with Ares. So I'm going to charge that guy up. And then it's like 3 days later. It's like, so that guy has now killed Ares. Right. And it's like more like that where it's like a play-by-play, but we're not really seeing like we're seeing the action, but not hearing his thoughts because his thoughts are what they always have been. Kill the gods.
Well, what I was actually thinking was something like 300, where we have a bard telling the tale, if you will, to the like a messenger for the gods, like say, for example, Hermes telling the gods what's going on.
Dude, I
and
mean,
them reacting
it's something
to
that
it.
Like a lot of us like loved with Marvel, what they were doing with like Loki's character becoming more of the narrator, and like not to spoil God of War. I haven't played the games, but I know the lore. I've watched every video playthrough. I love God of War as a franchise. I just don't remember it because I didn't play it. But like his son narrates the story. He's telling the story of his dad.
Yeah.
And now we don't know when his son's going to show up. And you can start at the very beginning and you can have him kill every version of gods ever. Like you could do something totally crazy here, send him to Egypt and start in Egypt. Because as far as the like mythos goes for most people, it goes Egyptians, Greek, Norwegian in that order of death cycle. And according to God of War, so far he started with Greece and went to Norway. So like, let's start this movie series at Egypt so we don't mess with the games too much. And we build crowd enthusiasm. And we go, no. You guys can handle the Greek stories. Let's see you do it. Way cooler than the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Like
so,
you're not, there's a very low bar in terms of CGI. And you already found the body double. So at this point, it is just making that, what was it? It's a 12-hour game. I don't even think it's that long in terms of story arc. So like if you make this whole game into a 2-hour movie, like that could be enough. That's why I say I think if it was me, I would want to go back to Egypt because I would want to show the fans how much I like the adventure, and I think it could be bigger.
Okay. Petey, do you have anything to add to this one, or are you good, brother? I think Petey's good. Okay. Let's move on to our next one here. So, after the Netflix true crime story about the Menendez brothers, caught on quite a fair bit, and there were a lot of people that were very interested in what was going on in the real life. And there was a call for resentencing of the Menendez brothers. And it looks like it's now not going to happen. They're going to continue with their life sentences. But because this has kind of crossed over from the reality to true crime reality to back to reality, I thought it was worth mentioning. These guys were involved in a pretty dark scenario. If any of you have seen the Netflix documentary, there's been a lot of praise for it. And to find out that the documentary brought up the idea of resentencing them and, possibly considering, what should happen to these people who are basically kids, just barely 18,
Dude, if you listen to that story without the Netflix drama, you listen to it an hour by hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you know why people actually fight the legal system, because it's like maybe prisons shouldn't be the hardest place to live. Maybe we should actually focus on like getting people back into regular society. Because the kid's story is dark, and it does kind of sound like maybe they had a motivation.
Yep.
But like they shot their family in the face and then went to a basketball game.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that for the record. I'm not
saying that they deserve life in prison, but I'm also not saying that like Netflix can convince me that they were model citizens that kind of got bent. No, they were bent.
Yeah. My whole thing is, for me, it's more of this is an interesting situation than hey, I think that there was a miscarriage of justice here. I think,
yes, totally agree. The fact that Netflix made people actually get motivated to talk to the district attorney to actually get this changed.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. Finally, we're actually starting to see a quality good come out of streamers and TVs. It's like maybe you guys, I don't know, like you spend your millions on your Love is Blind, but maybe spend $1 million on a couple of these documentaries that can actually help us.
Yeah.
Like Netflix, you owe pharma nothing. Act like it.
Yeah. And I will say that, like, if this particular situation made people wonder about, the prison system that they're operating these days, then I think that's only a good thing, right? If people are doing their own homework on situations like this, that's even better, right? And I think this is one of those really messy situations because, like I said, on one hand, they were what, like 18 years old and getting a life sentence. That's pretty rough. On the other hand, they did shoot family members in the face. On the other hand, it does look like they were being abused at the time. So there's a lot of aspects to this story on where the right line between justice and mercy and balance should be. And that's a good thing that we're having those discussions, even if we decide, oh no, we made the right call here. The fact that we're having the discussion is an important one for society, I think.
And the fact that the discussions are getting
results
all the way back to the court.
Yeah.
That's the part that matters most, is because a lot of these documentaries, like even the Aaron Brockovich one, it is an actual story that led to a lot of changes in our water systems and our water treatment. But it took, I don't know, 20 years for people to go back and go, oh yeah, maybe this isn't a fiction. And that's the issue, is and that's actually the benefit of what we're seeing right now is this documentary is 7 months old.
Yeah.
And the court had to respond. That's why I'm saying Netflix, you owe Purdue nothing. Go to war, boys and girls, because you can actually help us so we know who to call and what to call them about. One of the most insane things in today's age is when your senator gets called out in your local newspaper for passing a bill or being a part of a bill and they haven't officially passed it yet, you can send them a link to the documentary that shows that whichever side of the bill you're on.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's insane. Name a decade, And that's where we're at with the reality is if Netflix is making these quality movies, if these quality movies are getting to your heart, then get your heart to your congressman so your congressman knows what you actually care about.
Right. I mean, there's a reason why they're called your representative, right? They should be voting in line with the way you're thinking. So, make them aware of how you're thinking. The worst that they can say is, well, I don't think I'm going to do that. And then your response is, well, then I don't think I'm going to vote for you next time, right? You have that power and they're your representative. So by all means, go for it and use that representation. Okay. Remember how I had mentioned Niza 2, this Japanese blockbuster that was going on that had dwarfed a couple of movies? Well, we're getting a European release. And if we're getting a European release, that means it's going to be translated into English. So we'll probably be able to get a review together if you guys are interested. Or at the very least, we'll get it translated into German, and then I can review it for you guys. So.
Dude, I'm down because it's something I was thinking about. How for China, Disney changed the Star Wars poster material and marketing material?
Yep.
Did they change the movie too? No. I'm trying to think, have all of our good movies been getting quote unquote censored for China? Meaning the main hero's journey of Rey's story was in the Chinese release because they cut out all of the other nonsense that would have been politically charged in China. And so it does just look like Luke Skywalker's story reskinned with a girl. And at that point, you're like, okay, I guess. But that's better than what we got, which was a hatchet piece. So that's why I want to watch this because I want to see if it's better than any of our current relatively close material. Because I don't know what it is and I don't know what it's about. And I want to see. It looks fun. And it is the biggest movie in China. So I want to know if they like Bollywood stuff, which I don't like. So I immediately fell out of that. Or what is China like?
Well, my understanding is that this is a folktale equivalent to the Lord of the Rings for China. Like, this is China's Lord of the Rings.
This isn't Journey to the West.
No. This is a different one of those kind of big tales, though.
Okay, so Journey to the, because I know Journey to the West is like their big coup de grace.
That's the really big one, right? That this is up there though. This is this is a Lord of the Rings budget, Lord of the Rings style series that they're putting together that supposedly is beating the brakes off of anything they've done before and is really worth checking out. So, the fact that we're getting, at least a subtitled version is interesting. And I'd be very interested to sit down with you guys and do a review if we can get it in English. And if we get it in German, I guess I translate as we go. Right? But we can make it happen.
No, so, I'm super down. I would watch that just because, like, I don't know. And I love movies. Like, my favorite thing to learn about cultures is badass action flicks. I don't care about the mundane parts of life. I get that we all have to do taxes. I get that we all have some version of gang culture nearby. I get that we all have basic things. Show me your cool Jason Statham, your Machete. Like, show me somebody fun, showing me your world, and I'm listening.
Yeah, like nobody wants to see the Chinese perspective on, oh, I got to go to the in-laws for dinner, right? You want to see their unique, crazy, wild story involving, a celestial bureaucracy and magical fish and dragons and nonsense, right? Like,
and I would disagree with that because Jackie Chan proved
fine.
that, like, you can make your in-laws dinner funny.
True. Fair enough.
And that's what I mean. So, like, I have no problem learning about Chinese culture.
Yep.
If it's in a fun movie. And this looks like a fun movie. According to China, it's their most fun movie. Yeah. I have seen America's most fun movies. Agreed. Like, I have no, like, I'm just trying to say, like, if this does become Englishly available, I have no reservations. I am not somebody who actually believes in the national pride infects your art. No, that is the government telling you to censor your art.
And straight up, if this is, guys who are watching this channel, if this is straight up like, Chinese propaganda, we will tell you, right? You'll be able to tell because, Pollo Zapatos will start wearing green coveralls and wearing a little red star on his ball cap. So, we'll make sure that doesn't happen. But
well, no, see, the issue for me is, like, I'm 100% pro corporate communism. Like, if corporations actually took care of their workers like communist nations claim to, a lot more corporations would have a lot more loyal workers, and those loyal workers would feel like they're actually doing something and earning something rather than what we've got today. Not pro communism in the nation because I don't trust tyrants. Like, I don't want more daddies. But, like, if businesses actually gave me an invested stake in the business, I'm all about that.
Yeah, so it's supposed to premiere March 21st, and it is going to be in the UK, so presumably it's going to have at least English subtitles. So we will have to check it out.
It'll be fun. I mean, I watch Japanese movies without English, like Demon Slayer. I've never seen the English dub. One Punch Man, it took me on the 15th replay because I was finally watching it with my son. I put on the English dub so that he didn't have to have me read it all to him.
Yeah. All right.
I have no problem with subtitles.
Yeah. Okay. So I know this is getting a little bit into Rogue Council territory, but I figured I'd bring it up.
You kicked me, bird.
The Age of Disclosure documentary has released. this is, apparently a lot of Dan Ferris's polished doc legitimizing unverifiable theories about UFOs. It doesn't have the blow your mind reveals that we were told were going to be coming in this, supposedly, but it is apparently worth a watch. So, apparently it's a lot of rehash of all the stuff we've heard before, right? But getting a few more people on the record saying, yeah, this is what I said to Congress, right? And this is what I can explain. And some congressmen saying, yeah, this is what I was told, right? So apparently the documentary drags a little bit, right? And, the guy who was reviewing it was not a big fan of some of the interviewing style. But if you're looking for what's going on in modern UFO circles, this is apparently a very solid summary of that. So if you're a fan of the woo-woo, check it out. It's premiering at SXSW and probably worth a view or two. John, PD, anything you guys want to add to that?
Nope.
No. One of the things I think that's frustrating with this, and this is what I've been hearing from people talking about like the UFO conspiracy lately,
right,
is a lot more of the current documentaries are going to be like, look, we finally got real people to confirm stuff that other documentaries were called like loony for making.
Right.
And while to us, we're like, yeah, we already believed you. Let's go. Like, remember how many people didn't and don't.
True.
So that's what makes this documentary both a and a win, because like in the win department, it's too many people with too much credibility saying yes.
Yeah. So, all right. We covered this guy, covered that. Oh yeah, here we go. So James Gunn has Jason Momoa playing Lobo in the Supergirl film. And apparently a lot of the reviews of Jason Momoa as Lobo have been very, very positive. He captures the character right, because let's be honest, the line between Jason Momoa and Lobo is pretty minimal, right? It looks like this is going to be a net positive overall for the Supergirl film. A lot of this is, I think, going to depend on the world that they're building with the new Superman movie, on whether the Supergirl movie is going to be worth viewing at all. But I think they're putting Jason Momoa in the right spot. I think having him play Aquaman was, while definitely a choice, it wasn't the best choice, I think. I think he was always should have been playing Lobo. And now we're going to get to see it. John, what have you got for it?
Dude, honestly, I think this one's super cool. Mostly because like Supergirl is what all of Hollywood has been asking for. A overpowered female character.
Right.
Like all the super family is. But at the same time, like, yeah, like you said, Jason Momoa's Aquaman was not the right choice. Like, just because he looks like The Rock and The Rock is from Hawaii, Aquaman was supposed to be like Ariel's dad.
Yeah.
One second.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. Like, I get that they were going for a very specific look for a older, more Silver Age Aquaman that lost his hand kind of place. but they started it at a very early spot in his story. So it kind of didn't mesh. I mean, let's be honest. The real reason why they put Jason Momoa in that role is so they would have an excuse to have Jason Momoa without a shirt on routinely, right? And get female viewers in the seats.
Dude, and that to me is like the biggest like issue with it is like, look at Thor. Look at it really just is any jacked guy with a good camera angle. So you didn't have to change. You didn't have, like, people are like, no, it has to be Jason Momoa. He's considered the hottest one. And it's like, well, way to waste $75 million on abs.
Right.
And that's what I mean in terms of like, this one's actually cool because Jason Momoa not only looks like that character, like, honestly,
we've seen him
like
play characters with similar attitudes. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I saw him in that one Sleepy Time movie that he did on Netflix. And that's where I'm like just seeing this character. I can't remember, is his name Loeb or Lob?
Yeah, I think something like that.
Right. And like, but this is such a sick, like, this is finding the body for the picture, just like Triple H is finding the body for the video game character. Like, this one matches. And I think, like, especially in the Thor point, like, that guy makes the perfect Aquaman. Right? Hemsworth, the blonde hair. And, I mean, honestly, the surfer mentality, like, that shit, Matthew McConaughey makes it better.
Right.
All right. I brought whales.
Right. You know, good thing there was this river running through the fight where the battle was happening, or otherwise I'd be screwed, right? Yeah.
Dude, honestly, no, you just have Superman and Batman call Aquaman, like, hey, we've got a fight over in Russia. All right. And that's the whole scene. That's the whole part with Aquaman, is it's just Matthew McConaughey saying, all right, and doesn't help because he can't, because he's a useless character. Like, that's what I hate about like what they did to Momoa is like they made Aquaman too cool.
Yep. I get you. Okay, so we talked a little bit about UFO documentary. How about we get some alien abduction fiction? So Peter Cecilia approaches the unknown with an alien abduction story for SXSW Studio. Set in present-day Los Angeles, Descendant follows Sean Bueller, a school security guard who is haunted by childhood trauma while preparing for the birth of his first child with his wife, Andrea. After a beam of light appears in the sky during a late-night shift, Sean wakes up in the hospital with an inexplicable talent for vivid, unsettling drawings of extraterrestrials and desert landscapes. As his visions blur the line between dreams and reality, Sean's grip on sanity unravels. With time running out, he must confront his fears to escape his family's tragic legacy. This sounds like a really good premise for like an alien abduction horror movie. Doesn't it just? Like,
dude,
that
honestly,
sounds like the best way to do it.
This sounds like the combination of every alien story I've heard come to life. Like,
yeah,
just enough to know certain things, just enough for it to be scary, but 100%. Like, what's the story? Which aliens does he draw? What do they see? Like, this is the part about like aliens that I love. They are right there on sci-fi. Like, regardless of whether or not they're real, they're an amazing trope.
Yeah. And this is my kind of horror too. This is the fear of the uncanny coming out and playing, because there's just nothing this dude can do really about it, right? If they want to pick him up and cart him off and you know, probe him severely, they're going to just freaking do it. And that's, to me, what's so interesting about this kind of horrors. You don't really have a choice in the matter. You are completely out of control. And that's what I think is going to work really well about this. It sounds like they have a solid story idea. The cast seems pretty good. I'm actually really looking forward to this one and seeing how well they do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm probably going to be that dude that's going to be sitting in the chair eating popcorn, and a lizard dude is going to be watching the movie next to me going like, oh, that is so fake. We would never do that. But, that'll be my luck.
Which is like the goal.
Yeah.
Get insider knowledge on the actual subject.
Yeah, if I wind up talking to some sort of reptile that's sitting beside me, grabbing my popcorn or whatever, I will try to get them on the Rogue Council. Don't worry.
Yes.
I am shameless about that.
Dude, that's the move. We got to get an alien on the Rogue Council. Help us be the first to disclose.
That's it. I mean,
we'll actually help them adjust.
That's it, right? We'll even get them on this show. We'll have them review movies with us, and it'll really be an MST3K moment, right?
Dude, that's how we explain our culture.
That's kind of terrifying, isn't it?
Are you kidding me? I feel like movies are the absolute best way to explain what's going on in our heads and how we continuously get it wrong.
Right,
sure,
but I mean,
we all think we're the main character, but if you notice, every main character in a good story gets foiled for a little while.
Right, and don't get me wrong, I could see trying to explain human culture through a movie like The Matrix or whatever. But trying to explain it through something like Encino Man would be a bit of a challenge.
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, there we go, right?
So you guys, you remember that part that we were telling you about how some people are weird? Let me introduce to you Boondock Saints.
Right.
Some people are just cool.
Or trying to explain Cruel Intentions to an alien.
Dude,
oh, man.
Trying to explain how to lose a guy in 10 days. I thought your species' whole goal was reproduction.
Right. So, yeah, guys,
Don't
that's...
the characters know they like each other?
Right? Trying to explain love triangle movies or rom-coms?
Just any buddy comedy.
Oh, right?
Why are they so mean to each other yet always protective? Wouldn't he just let him get shot?
Oh, man, Shanghai Nights. Trying to explain Shanghai Nights to an alien would be the greatest thing I could ever do.
Oh, no, this is the best part. We're not explaining these movies. We're using these movies to try to explain basic humans. So we're not really talking over them. We're just enjoying rewatching them and going, this is why you can't kill us or judge us. Look at how crazy we are. And then they're like, I know a guy.
With my luck, though, they're going to be really into Zoolander. And gods, I hate that movie.
Dude, no, they're going to watch Zoolander and be like, that's where Ben has been hiding.
Right? It's like, okay, now we know where to go pick this guy up.
All right, buddy, we got him. And we're like, no, we were hanging out with the alien narc.
All right, well, I think that's everything we've got for this week. If you guys see a interesting scoop or piece you'd like us to cover on the podcast, please, feel free to reach out to the Writer Brothers. In the meantime, I want to thank Jonathan G94 for chatting out at us, and I do hope your friend comes home. Stephanie Janisex, it was wonderful to see you as always. I know you've probably already left, but when you're watching this on the replay, know that you are always in our hearts and always welcome to hang out with us anytime. PD from his undisclosed location deep in his bunker in the Fortress of Solitude. Any closing thoughts, PD?
Overall, sorry I couldn't host, but we'll probably I should be back at the Key West studio next week, to display our new intros. But yeah, it's great having Kamran here, and you guys had a good discussion. And yeah, Pollo actually had a couple of funny lines for once, so it was a good time had by all. So
all right. And
see you when we see you, and cheers, yous.
Posapatos, any final words, any final thoughts here for us?
I got a lot more than a couple funny lines.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I have
Sorry,
been
at least 3.
All right. Well, I am Corian Witch in Residence, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week on the Information Intelligence Podcast. Take care, everybody.